Thomas. This is Opening Arguments Vapid Response Wednesday number 2. Twice as complicated in the video setup.
Read them and weep.
I'm Thomas. That's Matt Cameron, real life lawyer. How you doing, Matt?
All right. I'm ready to talk about some more bad faith nonsense from a Harvard law professor, just like we did last week.
Do lawyers need to keep an eye on the continents? How are the continents doing behind you? Is that a... You don't have law books. Also, look at the camera. Reminder for all of us to look at the camera.
Yeah. Matt, you should have like a pin that you move each week, and then like someone has to chime in with like a fun fact about wherever you moved it to, and then maybe they'll be wrong half the time because they don't know geography.
I guess an immigration attorney does need a map more than a law book, really.
Good to have a big wall-sized map. We talked about doing pins for every case that we won from where they're from, but there's so many of them are from the same place. We need like breakout maps of different countries.
Yeah, just a lot of that makes sense.
A lot of Salvadorans, a lot of
and of course, joining us is producer Lydia Smith. How you doing, Lydia?
Hello, I am doing well. Thanks for having me back and not kicking me off.
I truth be told, I couldn't find the right button, so we'll figure it out eventually. No,
it's a tech problem for another day.
If you're not familiar with the show, it's a podcast, it's a law podcast, it's law and politics, and now we're doing videos on Wednesdays. And this format is what happens is I do just nothing but AV tech support for 48 straight hours, and then they, Matt and Lydia, prepare content. I'm told, and I will see it for the first time today. Can't wait, cannot wait. But this is and this is the bare bones stuff I was able to do. We'll get fancier as we go. We'll iterate, but I'm really excited. Last week was so much fun, and we have even more planned. I feel like this is like we probably have too much today, honestly.
We're going deep. We got some good stuff, but we got some fun stuff. We've got some serious stuff, but it's all going to be fun because as you know, the format here, we're looking at bad faith idiots, and we got plenty of them.
Love bad faith idiots.
That's what we're here for.
Where do we want to start today?
So I got a little amused douche for you from...
Okay, that's perfect.
As I like to call it. Yeah. I've been thinking of these episodes like a little meal, and it's nice to start off with something tasty and simple because we're going to be going deep, eating our vegetables and having a main course on... As I mentioned before, of course, we talked about Alan Dershowitz, famous Harvard law professor last week in the Wall Street Journal. We'll be looking at another... completely different Harvard law professor in the New York Times. So it's obviously different.
They don't bring their best. I've said it. I've said it for several, 8 years,
terrible.
9 years. Harvard is not sending their best.
I mean,
they are. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, they're definitely the loudest. These people, they're definitely the loudest. So who knows? There might be some like really good ones hidden in there that are being quiet.
That are quietly doing work. Yeah, it's true.
Except for like Lessig, like we like Lessig for the most part.
I do like Lessig. He's great. But it's true.
Yeah, but we're really going to see Adrien Vermeule's true colors on this one. And just in case you ever thought he was smart, we're going to completely rip that apart.
I don't know who that is. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, now you'll know. By the end of this one,
I didn't know before
sure.
this. So yeah.
Somebody I've been keeping my eye on, and we got a quick follow up actually to make his exact point or make our point about his point. I've got a follow up, which I won't spoil for you yet. And then for patrons only, we got a fun Dershowitz follow up.
Yep.
So we got plenty to do here for dessert.
I don't want you to be socially ostracized for being the only one who doesn't look at the camera, man. You gotta look at the lens. No, you're looking down.
Yeah. There. Camera. Right. See, I don't like eye contact in real life. This really
yeah. Well, this camera. If we draw some eyes below the camera,
put like googly eyes there.
But the eyes where you're not supposed to. Everywhere around.
Listen,
be like
I have a lot of googly eyes.
The sci-fi author will be just eyes everywhere except the camera lens, and that'll be where Matt will then look.
I'm working on it. Just got to
it is really awkward. I'm killing myself trying to look at the camera because I want to look at Lydia on it. If I'm being honest, I just want to look at her.
I want to look at Matt.
And Matt.
I'm just kidding.
and Matt too. No,
we're all looking good today.
Yeah, you look great.
Hair's looking sharp.
Your map's popping. You look awesome. What's the first thing we're gonna do? Are we going to a video?
So,
what are we doing?
Yeah, we got a quick video just for fun here. Now, we could spend entire episodes on the remnants of the sovereign citizen movement, and that is an endless well, obviously. Yeah. It's a well full of fish that we can just shoot. I guess a fish in a well.
Oh, man. I should have, someday I want to get buttons. Yeah, for when you say that, but also someone make a sovereign citizen intro because, oh my God, I could push a button and we're playing a video of best of sovereign citizens. This could be a recurring bit because they are so much fun.
I honestly want like a theme song. Maybe someone out there will like write a little ditty that like we could play.
She's saying me. I don't have time. I don't.
No, it's not you. It's not you.
And to be clear, we're not responding to sovereign citizens to prove why they're wrong, because obviously they're wrong.
Right.
But for those who don't know, sovereign citizens believe that the United States is a corporation and they don't actually live in like the same laws that we do. And if they do special things and, like use the special code,
It's the best.
It never works. It never
It's a
works
series
ever,
of rules. They have insane theories about rules, but
Yes.
they also, and they think that, it's all, it gets various levels of anti-Semitic always. There's always that,
course.
but, but it's the international Jews control everything or whatever. But they also, my favorite thing about it is they also think that if you say the right magical combination of words, then the bad people he got us.
Yeah.
Damn it. Give him all the gold that is
Found the
assigned to
secrets.
his name. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, no. And so there's been a bit of a schism in the movement. I hadn't been paying attention. It's very hard to keep track of all these
Thought
people,
leaders are divided in the movement.
Yes, they really are. And so we're going to have, this is a little window into the insanity of what's going on right now. And this is from one Kelby Smith. Lydia, you got some details on Mr. Smith, I think.
I do. So before we dive into the video itself, just a little bit of background about Kelby Smith. So he, with the president of their little sovereign citizen group, his name is Tim Turner. They used to be affiliated with a different sovereign citizen group, ended up leaving it, and they were with Restore America. And then the two of them broke off and started their own group that initially they called Restored America. And then they changed it. Yeah. Then they changed it to Republic for the United States of America. Now, United...
Republic for the United States. That just sounds
It's
like someone
RUSA.
fucked up the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
And to the Republic, United States of America, for which it stands under the international Jews, one nation.
So, but key here is that United is lowercase. So it's capital R, lowercase U.
Purely just an
capital
adjective.
S, capital A. Yes.
We're just tend to be united.
Exactly. Exactly. And so for a sovereign citizen, I was pretty surprised about this. He has a LinkedIn. And so I spent some time looking at his LinkedIn. He's been a volunteer to, quote, start the official re-inhabitation of the vacated Republic for the lowercase United States of America since March 2008. He's been working on this.
So wait, I already love that insanity. So they're thinking someone left the land behind and they get to take it over? What did you say there?
I don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
you don't even know.
Start the official re-inhabitation of the vacated.
We're not even to the claims anyone looked at. We're just still in LinkedIn.
No. This is just LinkedIn and what he decided to put as his volunteer,
this is the equivalent
experience.
of 2 to 4 years upper management at a Sizzler. This is that equivalent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's also not getting paid for it. So he's just doing it for funsies.
Weird that's not paying. Okay.
Yeah. Also, for someone who's a sovereign citizen who really doesn't like control and regulations and all these things about the laws, he's a real estate agent and broker in California. And he's licensed. I looked this up. His licenses for real estate and his broker's license are both active. He started doing real estate in 2003. And then he got his broker's license in 2010. So I just thought that was, pretty interesting. He's in an industry that has a heck of a lot of regulation, especially in a place like California. So
I love how they're always forced to okay, but I'm going to go to the DMV and get this license.
Yeah.
But I'm mad about it.
But I don't think I should have
I'm a traveler on the
to.
land. Yeah, I'm not actually.
Turns out real estate commissions are something you can do pretty well with. So
Yeah.
We'll be bound by that code, I guess.
All right.
And then just one other little quick thing. So I had mentioned Tim Turner, who is the president of this group. He was actually arrested for, tax evasion like they all are.
You'll never guess
he
what.
was being detained?
Yeah.
Yes, he was detained and I think continues to be detained.
One time I want the cop to be, yes, you're being yes. What do you think we're doing? Yes, you're being detained.
Yeah.
And remember, the entire purpose of this movement is not to pay your taxes, right? That's
right.
What you don't want to be doing. So, and there are a lot of people who've tried to do this, including
and often to try to get out of different other crimes, right? I think this is pretty popular among inmates. I think often they'll kind of spread this maybe they find it plausible and then
their get out of jail free card.
Parole hearing.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer. Honestly, that's where it's the most of a bummer. But I was going to say earlier, for the most part, this is so delightful because it's usually the most privileged pieces of crap that I wouldn't care about. It's usually libertarians. It's people that I don't feel bad laughing about. It's just a good time all around. I just love sovereign citizen stuff. It's so much fun.
So
and they're also making a bunch of money too. So you have to. They're all scammers. This guy too.
The ones at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. He's big pyramid scheme. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that the Southern Poverty Law Center actually wrote an article about this when Tim Turner was arrested. And they interviewed Kelby Smith. And he said, sorry, they did not interview him. It was a telephone call with his followers, quote unquote. And he said, we as a republic, capital R republic, look very, very, very bad with our president sitting in jail. Either the president gets out of jail or the republic is going to be split.
Sorry, what? Who's in jail?
Tim Turner, the president of the Republic of the Lower United States of America.
I know. It was a Trump thing. I was like,
No,
were they saying he got arrested? You never know. Like often they think like somebody got kidnapped and then, there's all this crap.
No, not the president of the corporation, the president of the actual president.
Yes, of the
Tim
actual.
The capital R Republic of the lowercase United.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
You
That's
got
a whole different.
Man, you should run for their president
entity.
position.
Whole different entity.
You figured it out. So the reason why the SPLC has an article about this is because the FBI had designated them as domestic terrorists, which, as I'm reading through this, Kelby Smith insists that they are nonviolent, that they are they don't carry guns.
Are there
things like that.
instances of violence or shootings or anything?
I think so. I don't think there is anything that can definitively have been tied to them.
Classify them as dinguses. Can they just be like, all right, we are at a press conference, we are classifying, the United States government considers these people dinguses. We just want to say that.
I think
they're
that's
dinguses.
fair. The dingus watch list.
Mostly
dingus
harmless
sanctions.
dinguses. Occasionally you get a harmful dingus and we'll elevate that classification. But it's dingus level orange right now.
Yeah. I think what it is they're painting this broad brush of previous sovereign citizen groups in the past have ended up becoming violent.
Yeah.
And now it's like preemptive. Right.
It is weird that it's all a funnel of like right-wing, libertarian, all that, like just hating authority. And it just eventually gets to, Tim McVeigh or whatever. Like,
yeah.
No, and so I will point out too, that's part of the reason for the schism is there's sort of this new generation of people that I've just learned about. And I tried to learn a bit last week while I was out. I just kind of went down this. Who consider themselves to be American state nationals or American nationals, and they're differentiating themselves from sovereign citizens because they don't want anything to do with anything that looks like terrorism, which is pretty reasonable. These days. You don't want to be anywhere near something that the FBI might be interested in. So the video here, he's going to be explaining his position. I find it to be extremely confusing. Maybe you can make some sense of it. It's only 90 seconds. But there's a wonderful
word game, it's just
it
a
is,
puzzle.
Just try to understand what the man is saying. And it requires, of course, a lot of context that we don't have time for or care about. And there's a funny joke in the middle of it that I just had to play this just for the punchline about 60 seconds in. So let's ready to take a look.
Cue it up.
Let's take a look, Kelby.
What is the difference between American national and American state national? First off, Owen, you don't ever want to be either one of those. American national is a coined phrase by a few gurus out there. There's no definition in the law of American national. There's no definition in the law for American state national. There is nothing on the Declaration of Independence for American national, American state national, or national of the United States. Those all point
one sec, very quickly.
Yeah.
Just because this go to my expertise, obviously, but of course, in 8 USC 1101, there's a very clear definition of the term national as someone who owes permanent allegiance to a state. Now,
I love how they just say stuff. There's no definite. Well, there's this one. Oh,
well,
now, he will mention
here's the thing. Yeah, he will mention this
right.
particular statute. Yeah.
Right. But I just want to say he's differentiating himself from the gurus, like the people who are trying to take your money. Not Kelby Smith, to be clear. He's not just a guy.
He's just a real estate agent. You know.
He's a guy who's got the real truth, but he doesn't want you to follow the American national or American state national definition. But the reason why is very funny. This isn't like if we explained why they're wrong. This is like him explaining why they're wrong.
I just want to check. The video is just shit quality, right? Because
it's
okay. Because I'm even looking at the source and it's garbage. There's no if you click the
high.
gear, there was no better version of this.
No, and I have a feeling he is not in a beautiful library.
No.
I have a feeling that might be fake.
If you watch his other video content, you can see he's in his basement. But
a big basement, a lot of books. That's nice. I wish I had a basement like that.
But I will point out, though, that an American national is basically someone who is not a citizen. And unfortunately, it's really unfortunate we do have this category because it's people who live in Guam and the Virgin Islands who don't get to have actual representation but have to pay taxes. So Those people shouldn't exist in the way that they do. They should be citizens. He's right. He's not wrong about that. He's just trying to say that there's a special way, a super special way that you can be a state citizen. That's what he wants you to be. He wants to explain why you can't be a state national or an American national. Those things don't exist. So don't think about it too much.
Okay.
That's my advice.
Here
Keep
we go.
going.
Saying, I want to be under a code within the United States. So I don't address those. And I think people need to understand that they're trying to say it's just trick. And there's big names out there trying to trick people. But that American state national, there's no code for that. National is defined under 8 U.S.C. 1101 A21. It's a person that owes allegiance to a state. I'm not a person. And I don't owe my allegiance to a federal territory.
There we go.
Huge.
Let's not let that go.
I know. I'm not a person.
Big announcement.
This is the punchline.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm with you on the legal definition. That definitely exists.
He's a corporation,
not a person.
right?
Exactly.
Is that where he's going with that?
Yeah, he's not buying into any of this code. And of course, this is very funny too. He doesn't want to live his life under a code. He doesn't recognize the United States code, I guess, except for when it gets him real estate commissions. But all of the stuff necessary to collect his commissions.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And he's in Southern California too, so he's probably making bank.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's
on 8.
You're not a
Sorry
person.
about that.
No, go ahead.
USC 1101 A21. 8 USC 1101 A21. Click on the word state. You're gonna go.
Putting me to sleep, dude.
So why are those gurus teaching about allegiance to a federal territory?
I don't know. Are they at least exciting?
Oh no.
That's it.
So
That's
your video.
it. That's our
That's
taste.
it.
Oh
Yeah.
boy! Don't show
That's
people our algo. That gets
no.
ruined from doing this stuff. Absolutely
He's answering.
ruined.
He's answering like the equivalent of a patron question. Basically, he's got people paying a lot of money to make this stuff. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Listen out.
this content sponsored by Sovereign Citizen American lowercase republic for the uppercase United States lowercase. I don't know.
Not American nationals. Let's be clear about that. We are not American nationals.
So is he
yeah,
trying?
there
He's
you
trying
go.
to say he's a national of the state of California.
No, he's a
I don't know.
citizen of the state. He's not a
Oh,
citizen
okay,
of a
citizen.
country, and he has no allegiance to any state. Or
What does
I
this
know
do for him? What does this do?
Uh,
Just brass tacks. What is?
this gets people to give him money instead of the other gurus. That's what it does. He needs to have the true.
Yeah,
truth,
but
right?
they're all ultimately trying to do a therefore don't pay your taxes thing, or what?
Yes.
What are they? Okay.
Mostly. That's
But,
most
like,
of it. And just
You
looking
get in
through and-
trouble for that. Well, okay, maybe not anymore. Boy, now's a great time to be a
Sovereign
sovereign
citizen.
citizen.
Yeah.
It's never
better than
been,
ever.
Yeah, buy. I'm buying stock in Sovereign Citizen because there's no IRS, so screw it.
But I should point out these people are also all Christofascists who think that
Yeah.
we should be in a theocracy, and
I sold
which is
my
a
stock, selling it.
Yeah,
that's actually the theme for
Restore
today's
America.
episode.
Actually, I should still buy that stock.
specifically-
It's doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Restore America specifically, very evangelical crowd. And
Mhm.
when Tim Turner and Kelby Smith left there, Kelby Smith explicitly says, like, you can believe whatever you want, but at the end of the day, our country was founded under God, blah, 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 blah. But no one's going to, like, give you a hard time if you worship God in whatever way that is for you.
And
Nothing about
this is-
atheists, but
Very, very familiar to me coming from a fundamentalist background of like the idea that you have to like split your hair and be like down the middle. This is what we believe. This is who we are, and everybody else is wrong.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's interesting to watch that happening in this movement. I wasn't aware that it had gone to that kind of level of schisms.
Yeah, that's why I say everybody else is right and I'm wrong. Like everything I say, don't listen to everybody else, but
Can't go wrong.
because I don't want to be them.
That's right. Well, let's move on to somebody who is never wrong, Adrian
Oh,
Vermeule.
okay. Well, I almost think this is a great place for a break in the podcast feed.
There you go.
Oh,
Let's
I
sit
think
here
that's
forever.
a great idea.
And then who knows if someday we'll have ads on here. I don't know. But for now, podcasters, it's a break. Okay. Podcasters? No. Well, podcast listeners, of whom only 80% are podcasters. It's a break. Okay, what's next?
All right. So next we've got Harvard Law professor Adrian Vermeule wrote a long piece in the New York Times a few days ago. And my first read through this, I immediately started to see where he was wrong about everything he was writing about. But I want to talk about why he wrote this and why it exists. But let's talk about the man first. I think Lydia's got some background for old Adrian.
Oh,
for
I
us.
sure do. Okay. His name is Adrien Vermeule. He was born Cornelius Adrian Comstock Vermeule, which is a much better name than
That's a
Adrian
good sovereign
Vermeule.
citizen name. He should go.
It
Oh,
is.
come on.
Cornelius.
also-
Should be the first segment.
He's also Cornelius Adrian Comstock Vermeule the third. And He's kind of a Nepo baby when I was doing some background on him.
No
with a
way.
name like Cornelius, who would have thought?
What's this fuck, rich fuck the third is a Nepo baby? No way.
But Matt, like in your neck of the woods, he's like a Nepo baby. He comes from a long line of like Bostonian intellectuals. So
owners.
his mom was Emily Dickinson Townsend Vermeule. Yes, related to that Emily Dickinson.
Wow.
Apparently,
like a grand.
So
why would her name be the same as it?
Well, it specifically says her grandmother was related to Emily Dickinson in various articles, but no one has said explicitly how. It could be like fifth cousin once removed, you know. But apparently, the family is very interested in that, so that is a name that continues to be passed down.
We should have named one of our sons like Bill Murray Smith. I've just been like, related to Bill Murray. His name is Bill Murray Smith. You don't think he's related to Bill Murray?
Why else would you name him?
Yeah.
So she was a professor of philology and archaeology at Harvard. And when she died in 2001, the New York Times ran a piece about her. And some interesting, just a quick little interesting fun fact about her, because this family is super interesting. She discovered an ancient Mycenaean tomb as a student and later conducted excavations in Greece, Cyprus, Turkey, Libya. She's considered like the premier expert of Mycenaean archaeology.
I'm picturing a student on the way to class, like, trip. What is that? Holy shit!
I think it was it was right place, right time. She just happened to pick a good spot. I guess I don't know how it all works, but there was
I've seen Indiana Jones. Like you got first, you burn your hand on a thing that has a pattern. For where it goes, but then
there are some rats that come in.
Snakes is a big part of it.
Snakes and rats,
famously.
both of them.
Okay,
both of them.
But you went for rats as the reference that would make less sense. Okay,
but I wanted the rats to get involved to make you want to leave. Anyway, so
the snakes make you stay. Classic Indiana Jones. Anyway.
So she conducted excavations in Greece, Cyprus, Turkey, and Libya over her career before she went into her academia scholarship. And one excavation was actually in the 70s. She was conducting an excavation in Cyprus, and then Turkey invaded, while she was there.
Shit.
So they just had to abandon their entire site and leave.
She's like, here, I'll sneak behind this secret chamber. I hope they had a bunch of those things. I feel like real life this is not going to be at all as fun as Indiana Jones.
I know. I think it's been romanticized for sure.
And all the traps, imagine laying a trap that lasts for that long. How did they do it? It must have been the aliens that built the pyramids. They also had amazing trap laying technology where they're still springing like darts from when? 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago? Those darts are just hanging out?
Well,
somebody goes and resets them every few years, obviously. Yeah, right. You got a custodian. Come on.
It's the equivalent to, the knight at the very end and stuff, but the other side has,
Knight from the Last Crusade.
What I'm getting here is that Adrien Vermeule's mom is way cooler than him.
Yeah, she sounds great. Did she do anything wrong?
Nothing.
Okay,
no. And huge Red Sox fan. And she would write op-eds in the Boston Globe about the Red Sox and then equate them to ancient Greek warriors. And
Matt lives in a place where other people care about that.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Well, who knows?
Matt's not a sportsman.
Then his dad.
Matt, if you had to pick, hold on, gun to your head.
Yes.
Math or sports? Which do you have to do? Someone's like, you either
sports.
do math. You're going to do sports?
Wait. Sports as participate or spectate?
I would say
either.
Either?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, watching math is not as exciting.
Just shoot me instead of making me do calculus.
Okay, but what if you got to use a calculator for math?
No,
that doesn't change it.
I don't think that helps. I don't think you understand how bad math.
No, if you're you have to learn about the Red Sox. At least there's people involved. I can learn about them. It keeps me interested.
Hey, Pythagoras. There's some great people involved. Okay.
All right. So his dad. We're going to come back to Adrian, don't worry. But I just have to share these things about his family because it's very interesting. His dad was a curator of classical antiquities for the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And when he died in 2008, the New York Times ran a piece about him.
Because he belongs in a museum is what they said.
Kind of. I mean, Jesus, family. It says, in his later years, Dr. Vermeule was part of one of the biggest controversies surrounding museums. What can you guess, right? Accusations that they stole art from other countries or failed to check whether it was stolen.
I just assumed that was the backdrop of all museums. I didn't know that was not. Okay, so they're mad about that now. That's good.
Well, in 2008, they were mad about it. He acquired items so obviously looted that the Museum of Fine Arts, like other museums, gave some back to Italy in 2006. And then, he basically said, it's a competitive, obscure business and it had shifted fundamentally. He tried to exercise due diligence. He also had some things in his own, private collection or whatever that he gifted to the museum, including what they called a significant Etruscan statue. I don't know what it is, but apparently it is significant.
One of the significant ones.
And when he gifted things to the museum, he often gave them under pseudonyms because he was, affiliated with the museum. He didn't necessarily want the credit. But let me tell you his pseudonyms because they're great.
Oh, great.
Sir Northwold Nuffler. So good.
That's like the third try of 20 to come up with a better one. That's nothing.
Wentworth Bunsen.
That's getting closer. That's closer. Good job, Wentworth.
And then,
what's his actual name? I don't remember.
It's Cornelius.
Oh, this is Cornelius.
This is the second.
Cornelius
this is
the
Cornelius
second. You're right.
The second.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, good job, Cornelius the second.
And then Isao Sukanabe.
Yeah, Esau.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's a weird combination. All right.
Yep. And then one other member of the Vermeule family that I want to tell you about. His sister, Adrian's sister, so Cornelius III, his sister was born Emily Dickinson Blake Vermeule, but she goes by Blakey. And she is a professor of English at Stanford. And this is important. So is her wife, Terry Castle. This is going to be important as we talk about Adrien Vermeule.
The amount of emphasis you drew to that, I hope it's important.
It is, because we're going to be talking about the kind of person Adrien Vermeule is. And I don't think they have a relationship anymore.
I wonder how they get
along.
along. Yeah.
Jeez. Wow. I don't know what this I'm in the hey, folks, audience. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. This sounds bad. Whatever.
Yeah. So let's get back to Adrien a little bit. He graduated from Harvard with his undergrad work.
What tombs did he find? Did he find any?
Zero.
Zero tombs?
Absolutely zero.
Get the fuck out of here, you Nepo baby.
He's like a Greek statue guy, right? He's like a classicist. This makes so much sense anytime of his parents. He's really the classics.
Asian languages and civilizations. So he picked a different area of the world. That's where he did his undergrad work. And maybe his interest changed with what we're going to talk about, what happened in 2016. But his undergrad anyway was East Asian languages and civilizations. Then he went to Harvard Law, clerked for David Santel of the D.C. Court of Appeals, and then Antonin Scalia, 94 to 95 was the year that he did that. He is married to a woman named Yansu, and they had 2 kids. They actually lost their son last spring in a car accident. He was 20 years old.
If he sucks. Why would we do? No, I'm just
kidding.
That's a bummer.
I'm gonna be, comprehensive.
Complete picture.
Yeah. He was 20 years old, going to Notre Dame, and he was a fencer. It was like a single car accident. I don't know exactly what led up to it or anything. They didn't really release any investigation results. But so he passed away. Their daughter is also a fencer. Both kids grew up fencing. Pretty accomplished fencers, too.
We should get our kids fencing.
Yeah. And she ended up fencing out of Harvard and has since graduated. So let's talk a little bit about religion, because I think that's going to inform a lot of what Matt's going to get into. Adrien Vermeule, or I should just call him Cornelius, honestly. Cornelius grew up Episcopalian, and then he converted to, what do you think, in 2016? What do you think he converted to?
It's the cool thing all the kids are doing now.
It's what your family all converted to.
Why? Oh, this was an actual question?
Yeah, it's an
I have
actual
no
question.
idea.
Catholicism.
MAGA.
No, Catholicism.
Oh, okay. Was that a thing people were doing? I don't understand this.
Well,
Sorry.
it's just like a very, I don't know.
J.D. Vance-esque thing, but that was after. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So he converted to Catholicism and announced it in 2016. He did an interview with a magazine called Inside the Vatican at that time. And one of the questions that they asked him was about his conversion. And he implied that there was a mystical element that was involved in there. The interview continued, and they basically wrapped up with this question: on what legal fronts do you find the most hope for influencing the culture away from the culture, quote, culture of death, of materialism and nihilism we seem to be gradually embracing? And he responded, I put little stock or hope or faith in law. It is a tool that may be put to good uses or bad. In the long run, it will be no better than the polity and culture in which it is embedded. If that culture sours and curdles, so will the law. Indeed, that process is well underway, and its tempo is accelerating.
I mean, I completely agree, but the
elsewhere.
other way.
Yeah. Other reasons.
Yeah.
So when, as he converted to Catholicism, what he started embracing was integralism, which I'm sure, Matt, you know plenty about, and I think you went down that rabbit hole. So eager to hear, your thoughts about that. But just wanted to give some brief, little clips
It's
before
your
we get into
calculus
here.
religion. Doing integrals? Yeah, that's no.
Just some brief thoughts from other law professors and thinkers and stuff about Adrien Vermeule and his integralism arguments. Law professor Randy Barnett said that that the position of Adrien Vermeule is he makes an argument for the temporal power of the state to be subordinated to the spiritual power of the church.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Garrett Epps, another law professor, he characterizes Vermeule as an authentic Christian nationalist to whom the Constitution is only an obstacle. Libertarian columnist George Will says, Christian authoritarianism, muscular paternalism with government enforcing social solidarity for religious reasons. This is the Constitution minus the framers' purpose, a regime respectful of individuals' diverse notions of the life worth living. And then Elliot Kaufman in the National Review described Vermeule as a, quote, reactionary and, quote, illiberal, following in the footsteps of German Nazi thinker Carl Schmitt. White House counsel during the Reagan administration, Peter J. Wallison, described Vermeule's book, one of the books that he wrote, as, quote, more an embarrassment than a legal masterpiece, and that, quote, the political structure he devises is highly authoritarian, perhaps even totalitarian. So that's pretty crazy. And I'm not even getting into where he has been in the last few years with election denial, which maybe we'll get to.
You'll never guess.
No one has any idea who we're talking about. I wonder if we should do the article first in the future, because I don't know. So this is all a guy who wrote an article.
I think it's important to have this in your mind as we're reading. I cannot emphasize enough how bad faith this is, because he knows better. He's definitely not as stupid as he's coming across in this article. I've read his Substack. I've read his other work. I've not read his books. But his Substack is extremely pretentious, and even for a law professor, that's even a pretty high standard.
Really, like just the language choices that he uses. It's like, oh God,
and you never know what he's actually saying, right? It's
you can tell he's trying to compensate for never finding any tombs. Every single flowery word is like, if he'd have just found a tomb,
But this to me is all you need to know about him is what he writes in the New York Times a few days ago, because it just completely obviates. It cancels out all of the pretentious, high-minded stuff on his Substack and his other writings. Oh, wow. It just cuts through the smoke, and it really lets you see who this guy is. Because as we go through, and I tell you about the truth of what he's saying and why he's writing this is so bad faith. This should be disqualifying, honestly. Once people see what this is and why he's writing it, he should never have any kind of serious publication again.
He should be run right out of Substack.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And the New York Times.
What is his thing? Yeah, what is he? Is he just there? From time to time, the New York Times is like, hey, does any privileged fail son have like a really bad take? Oh, you, sir. And then they just grab someone from Harvard.
Well, this is dangerous, because honestly, I always say about the birthright citizenship stuff, right? I'm not going to respond to that. It's too stupid. Like to say the 14th Amendment doesn't say what the 14th Amendment says in the first few words, right? And I've seen a number of people I respect this week saying, I'm not going to respond to the Vermeule piece. It's just so obviously wrong. It's obviously wrong to a law scholar, to a law professor, but it's not obviously wrong to the average New York Times reader. And as I go through and tell you why it's wrong, you're going to immediately say why it's wrong. I think that, Thomas, you will already know, Lydia, you know, I'm sure, why it's wrong because you follow this stuff. But if you're not closely following, you might read this and think, oh, yeah, there is a real problem in the lower courts right now. That's where our problems are.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's get into it, and she can show you what he's actually trying to do here. But his entire thesis is obviously just stupid and made up.
Yeah. We can go ahead and share the article and kind of scroll along with it.
Oh, should I? Are you going to be able to wait?
Yeah, I have to close out of this.
Do you want to switch back to mirror method there, and then you can mirror the screens, and then you're looking at your screen and
no, because I still have my notes up.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Sorry, we're working out one last technical thing we didn't figure out. Okay, are you going to be able to do this from here?
I'm going to open it up in both.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
I'm going to keep this somewhat targeted. We don't have to. We can go through some blocks of text without stopping too much now that we've explained a lot about him. But I got a few places to stop, so let's just get it going.
Ooh, here the title is "Someone is defying the Supreme Court, but it isn't Trump." Oh,
yes. Who is it going to be?
Cool. Do you want to zoom? Do you want to pinch zoom there?
I'm trying to. It won't let me.
You just.
I'm trying.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Okay, there you go. Nice.
All right. Since President Trump returned to the presidency for a second term, legal scholars and political writers have wrestled with a particular preoccupation. What if he defies court orders?
What if?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be awful?
What was this? Sorry, what year was this? Because this was the news cycle from.
Yeah, this is very recent.
This was the news cycle from like December 2024.
No,
right?
This is last week.
Yeah, I know. My point is, they were writing about this before Trump got into office, or like right as he started. Like, oh, what if he defies? And then we're in. It's like he found, like, did he write it and then he dropped it somewhere and he found it? It was like, oh, this is still good, right? This still apply. He's already done this, right?
Right.
He's already defied order after court order.
Let's check the next sentence and see how you feel about it after this next sentence.
Oh, all right.
When actual examples of the administration violating court orders turned out to be hard to find and contestable in any given case.
I don't think that's hard to find. You keep reading. I'm just going to Google just for fun.
Some commentators broadened the notion of defiance to include so-called malicious compliance or legalistic non-compliance. The idea here is that even if the president or his agents did comply with the terms of court orders, however unreasonable, they might be doing so in bad faith, with the covert motive of actually evading or circumventing the point of the order.
That sounds right.
That is defiance of a court order. We've talked about this already, but malicious compliance is defiance. That's the point of it. You don't want to follow it, so you pretend that you are badly.
But no, that's fine, Matt. You can do that, I guess.
That's a different thing than defiance, right? And this is his whole thing. He's like defining his own terms and then telling us why we're wrong.
I found something in a publication called the New York Times that says judge accuses government of willful and bad faith stonewalling in deportation case. That wasn't the result was Trump administration is in the Google results. I guess that maybe they changed the title, but it said Trump administration continues to defy judge's orders in Abreu Garcia case. That would be that was easy. That was easy to find.
Yeah.
Tell him. Hey, if you were better at finding things like tombs and articles. Maybe you're just bad at finding stuff,
Etruscan statues?
You should, talk to your, was it your mom or your grandma? I don't remember who it was, but talk to them. Talk to your mom about how to find things.
Yeah, your mom.
Failure of an archaeologist.
But just to appreciate what he's doing in this paragraph, because this is what he's going to do through the whole thing. When actual examples turned out to be hard to find, like, again, that's just like a weird passive way to say that, I don't think there are any, right? And contestable in any given case. Okay, so I'm going to argue with you if you think you found some. Okay. And then he goes on to explain about why defiance doesn't include malicious compliance. I mean, just the whole thing is so bad faith. Let's keep going.
The issue of defying court orders is still with us, but it has taken a twist. Now the defiance is coming from inside the judicial branch itself in the form of a lower court mutiny against the Supreme Court. District court judges, and in some cases even appellate courts, have either defied orders of the court outright or engaged in malicious compliance and evasion of those orders.
I might get into trouble here because I'm rooting for this, actually, though. I actually think the Supreme Court's gotten so bad, I'm rooting for this to happen. So I don't know if this makes me a hypocrite or something, but I want this to happen, but I don't know that it is. So Matt will clear that up, I'm sure. But anyway.
Well, he's writing quite a check in this paragraph. Let's see if he can cash it. He's going to give some examples where he thinks he's going to show you that there is some sort of massive revolt happening in the lower courts. And I'm going to tell you, it's not. That's unfortunately, none of these things actually do qualify as the thing you want. But let's keep going. Let's find out.
In the past decade or so, increasing judicial overreach has caused harm to our constitutional order by limiting the ability of the executive branch to implement the program it was elected by the American people to pursue. It has been a scourge for both recent Republican and Democratic presidents, and it may provoke extreme measures to restore order. The recent defiance goes even further, threatening to damage the internal integrity of the judiciary, which ultimately relies on lower courts to follow the Supreme Court's direction.
Sorry, didn't we already get rid of their ability to do injunctions and all that? Like, isn't that gone too?
He'll talk about that later.
But where are we here? Like, he's writing, it's like, damn, I already wrote all this 6 months ago and I still need to turn it in. None of this seems relevant now.
I just want to chime in, too, with, like, where he was in 2007, because I found some other pieces about him. In the Boston Globe, there was an article titled Supreme Downsizing, and Vermeule said, what I'm suggesting is a kind of arms control agreement, a tacit deal. The court should stay out of controversial matters of politics and law, almost entirely deferring to the wisdom of elected representatives in Congress. That's where he was in 2007. That is not where he is now.
Now he's all executive. Yeah, he's all about the authoritarian executive.
Yeah.
And also the idea that the lower courts should, like, in every possible respect, all the way down the chain, always comply with everything, like, he thinks the Supreme Court is saying. And I just want to point out before we go on, this is a very important point. All the examples he's going to give are shadow docket cases in which the Supreme Court did not actually provide, they either didn't give an opinion, like just like a couple of sentences, or they gave like maybe a sentence about why they were doing it. So the lower courts have good reason to be confused about what the Supreme Court is even doing if they don't know why it is. But the examples, you're going to see how bad this is going to get with these. But his idea of law, as you said before, is very flexible. He thinks he's one of these people who thinks we're kind of in a post-constitutional era. And he's proposed something called common good constitutionalism, which is basically doing everything that Catholics want to do. When he talks about Catholic integralism, he means let's get our people in the right places.
Common Catholic good.
Yeah.
Basically, yes. If it's good if it's Catholic, basically. But just want to make the point, I meant to read this before from the Atlantic when he wrote this. Somebody actually wrote a piece responding to this called, Can somebody check on Adrian Vermeule and see if he's doing okay? Basically, it was that bad. But the court's jurisprudence on free speech, abortion, sexual liberties, and related matters will prove vulnerable under a regime of common good constitutionalism, the thing he's advocating for. So just keep that in mind. Let's keep going, though. We got more to get through.
All right. Consider Judge Brian Murphy of the Federal District Court in Massachusetts.
Yes, please.
Judge Murphy issued a preliminary injunction against the transfer of removable aliens to third countries in cases in which the transfer was expressly permitted by federal law. So far, this was just an ordinary example of judicial overreach.
Wait,
this is such
is that ever permitted by
this is such a Weasley
third
thing
countries? When is that permitted by federal law?
So he's talking about DVD, and it is permitted by federal law. We talked about this a little bit. It is permitted in some cases, in certain situations.
Okay. Gotcha.
But what he didn't find was that, like, flat out, they couldn't transfer them. What he found was you have to give them rights before you do that to make sure that they don't get deported to a place where they are going to be tortured.
Yeah.
And so this is
kind of important.
And he knows that. I know he knows that. Like he can't be this stupid.
And I don't
he's
think
acting
Catholics are like super. I mean, like I don't think the Pope was like super into torture. Like, I feel like that makes you kind of a bad Catholic. I don't know.
He's also super into migrant rights, and he told J.D. Vance to his face that he was wrong about a number of things.
Yeah.
And I think you'd tell Vermeule was wrong about this too. But again, though, look at how Weasley this is to say, in cases in which the transfer is expressly put, the transfer is permitted. But what the judge found was that you have rights before you do that, and you're not, you're running over them.
That's kind of a way of bypassing the whole due process thing. If it's like, well, we're allowed to search your house.
Right.
Yeah, if you have a warrant,
expressly permitted by federal law.
Sorry, are we not allowed to search houses? Okay, so that's what you're saying. So it can be permitted with the right due process, I guess. Right. But
very
in those cases, it was not. There's no right. Wasn't that the issue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And now he's just calling this an ordinary example of judicial overreach. But what it is, of course, is that not only that. Remember, in DVD, the case we're talking about, that he's talking about, as Sotomayor reminds us in the dissent, there were multiple violations of his orders and of the law, and the Supreme Court rewarded them. Let's keep going though.
But after the Supreme Court issued an order to stay, that is to stop, the preliminary injunction while litigation proceeded over a dissent by Justice Sonia Sotomayor, Judge Murphy went beyond overreach. He decided that his order enforcing the injunction that the court had stayed nonetheless remained in effect, a proposition for which his only cited authority was the dissent from Justice Sotomayor. This seemed to be malicious, whether or not it counts as, quote, compliance at all.
Wait, I thought before it only counts as compliance. Never mind. Is he?
Now it's defiance.
Now it's defiance.
Yeah, only that side can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
The Supreme Court, with the notable concurrence of Justice Elena Kagan, then had to stay the second order and explain that Judge Murphy's renewed effort was also illicit.
Okay, so we did talk about this in OA. I just remind everybody that Judge Murphy, total badass, the same night the Supreme Court issued this order, which again was not no explanation at all attached, just saying that this order has stayed. And then Sonia Sotomayor wrote a beautiful, typical 18-page dissent that explains why it was disgusting. I mean, it's really bad, especially given as she points out, the number of violations of court orders that had led up to this point. But he decided that same night, once he got the order from the Supreme Court, that they had not addressed his follow-up remedial order that he had issued a month later on May 20th. The original thing was April 18th. And that seems to be true. And so Sotomayor said that in dissent. The reason he cited the dissent is because there's no majority to cite. He didn't do anything.
That's right. Because so just in case we have any OA veterans listening, the whole shadow docket thing is they get to just say, fuck off or exactly. They do the, that thing, and then they don't explain themselves. We often don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, we don't necessarily always even know who is on what side of that, right? If they don't, if no one signs an opinion or whatever.
They'll often say that whichever justice wouldn't join or dissents or whatever, but doesn't explain themselves. But yeah, no, just to read the actual majority opinion, the application for stay presented to Justice Jackson by her referred to the court is granted. And then they just have the details about what they're going to do with it.
Not much to cite there.
Yeah.
No, and there's no explanation. So, and this is the one in which Sotomayor's dissent began. In matters of life and death, it is best to proceed with caution. Yeah. That's the dissent, everybody. Okay. All right. So then she talks about how, so this is not malicious compliance. This is him saying, I issued this second follow-up order because DHS was wildly overriding what I said. Like they just ignored my order completely. Sotomayor details all the different ways that they did this, flouting the orders. In violation of an unambiguous TRO. They flew them out to Guantanamo Bay, deported them to El Salvador, and then another violation with the South Sudan thing, with less than 16 hours notice and no actual opportunity to be heard. The government thus openly flouted 2 court orders, including the one from which it now seeks relief. So, and then so the government filed a motion to clarify, saying, didn't it also cover this thing, which was basically a remedial order to try to make sure that they actually did the thing that he told them to do in the first place. But it was actually because it was in contemplation of a contempt, technically speaking, it was a separate thing, which is what Sotomayor said in her dissent, and which the judge decided was correct. And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do, again, considering he's got no guidance whatsoever from the top. So, the way he's characterizing this obviously is bad faith. And, it's the closest of these examples, it's the closest, I think, maybe to a good point, but it's still not a good point. And
well, let's look at the worst points.
Yeah, but it's not a good point. Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
All right. In a similar episode, a federal district court judge in Oregon held that the Department of Homeland Security could not engage in mass terminations of parole status for a class of migrants, and in doing so, cited earlier lower court decisions that had blocked similar executive action, but somehow omitted that the Supreme Court had already stayed those other lower court decisions.
Okay. This is like the smoothest baby brain way to explain what happened, obviously, but...
Well, help us smooth baby brains out. What the fuck is he talking about?
I don't want to do like a whole 45-minute explainer on this, but basically the Oregon decision that he's citing is completely different set of facts, different circumstances. It actually involves somebody from Mexico. The Noam v. DHS case that he's talking about, the stay, was when the Supreme Court upheld the vacatur, basically upheld the termination of a certain Biden-era parole program that brought in people from Cuba, Haiti, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. This guy's from Mexico, different circumstances. And the court's point was that this was not a categorical parole termination, the way that the Supreme Court was looking at categorical things. It was actually an individualized thing. And actually, the reason that he was paroled in was to attend removal proceedings, deportation proceedings. And because by its terms, they actually, his removal proceedings hadn't completed, this is a habeas case in which they were reviewing. It's one of the circumstances where they unlawfully terminated his case so they could come in and arrest him in court, which we'll be talking about more, of course, but completely different set of facts, circumstances. But he's saying that it is a similar episode and that the Supreme Court had already stayed those other lower court decisions. No, there's a lot of room between what the Supreme Court, the stuff the Supreme Court was staying. I mean, again, I could go on, but this is, again, disingenuous bad faith.
It sounds technical. I think I get it, but just as a lawyer, I mean, are other lawyers like you met? I mean, it's so hard in this day and age with the polarized whatever, but like your average lawyer, are they going to read that, assuming they're familiar with all that, and be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Or is this like a lefty interpretation of what's going, like give us a barometer of this.
I think he's purposely picking something that is extremely complicated that not very many of us frankly know about, and I happen to. And yeah, I've got my own opinions about the parole and how and I think it was completely unlawful. It was terminated. But I can also, as a lawyer, distinguish between one habeas case in Oregon in which it's a very different plaintiff in a very different circumstance with a completely different set of facts from a different country. I can distinguish that from the CHNV parole program and other categorical parole programs. But he's making it, and he's going to do this again in his next examples, but he's making it seem like the Supreme Court's one shadow docket decision in this one thing should be controlling, and anything that even closely resembles that.
And isn't this also like more aligned with the other dumb decision that the Supreme Court made about like how you have to do individual yeah, I know, but the individual like habeas petitions, you have to take it on a person by person basis because they didn't want to do the class actions. Like, doesn't this then line up in the way that the Supreme Court would want it to have been interpreted, like that piece anyway?
Oh, the complete relief stuff.
No, there's a separate thing with habeas.
Separate thing? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it can't be class actions. But, and this is primarily a habeas case as well. They found incidentally that they thought that the termination of parole was also illegal under his circumstance because it didn't, it wasn't a categorical, and because he was still there in the U.S. under the purpose he was brought in, unlike the other parole programs. But again, I could go on about this one for quite a while, but I don't want to hijack. Right. We should keep going.
These examples are hardly isolated.
They're also not examples. Sorry. You haven't provided one yet. Keep going.
In Trump v. Wilcox, the Supreme Court stayed orders from the Federal District Court in Washington that would have blocked the president's removal of members from two important federal agencies, the National Labor Relations Board and the Merit Systems Protection Board. The court emphasized that the government was likely to prevail because these agencies exercised substantial executive power. Hence, under existing law, the president's removal power could not be limited. Nonetheless, a panel of the Fourth Circuit recently declined to stay a district order enjoining presidential removal of members from the Consumer Product Safety Commission, a legally indistinguishable agency.
What he's doing here is so evil. Like, it is so
just right off the is that an indistinguishable? I thought
no,
yeah, okay. Isn't that a different kind of agency?
It's the thing with, okay. All right.
It's always a good sign. Hold on. Fuck.
Where to
There's
start?
laws. And
I will say, I'm glad this is all stuff we have covered on OA.
Yeah.
Too, so it's fun to be able to call back to.
I feel like I'm failing the test. So remind us, give us a little teacher's
This all comes down to, though, the thing that he's not mentioning for some reason, and the Supreme Court didn't want to mention in its orders, is that there is a Supreme Court case, 90 years old, called Humphrey's Executor, that directly contradicts what the Supreme Court did here. So it's extremely confusing because the Supreme Court, essentially, in its application in this case, the government acknowledged in their briefing that they were arguing that Humphrey should be overruled, but they acknowledged it was the law.
Right.
But in this case, this is a case where Trump fired the two Democratic members of the National Labor Relations Board when you have to fire them for cause. You can't just fire them, right?
And then it also failed for them to have quorum, so then they couldn't even do any work.
Right, which was the point. And
was this another shadow docket thing or no?
Yes.
Okay, here's my question. How is the shadow docket? How does that work? Because like you say, there's nothing to cite to. I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm just a dingus like the other. But when it's a shadow docket thing, I thought that really only applied to that one case for the very reason that they're not doing a whole ruling. They're not doing a big opinion. They're not doing oral arguments, I think. And so is this asshole saying, Cornelius asshole the third, is he saying well, because the Supreme Court did a bunch of fascisms on the shadow docket, you should comply in advance and figure out that, hey, they're doing fascisms. You should, lower courts, you should preemptively do fascisms for them along before they even really do the real thing. Because is that what they're doing?
Exactly what they're saying.
Okay, I get it. Yay!
You're cutting through the smoke once again.
Woohoo! Ending video done. No,
because what he's saying is they have as good as overruled this 90-year-old Supreme Court case. So it might as well have been done already. So
Your Honor, they've as good as overruled the law against stealing from banks. It's practical. It's barely.
My client was just getting ahead of the trend. Right?
Yeah.
The panel of the Fourth Circuit recently just declining, when they're looking at Consumer Product Safety Commission, they're following Humphrey's Executor, the Supreme Court's controlling precedent, which has not yet been overruled.
This crap didn't used to happen, right, Matt? I mean, this is fucking crazy that so many agencies, people arguing are well, we don't know if this law still exists because the Supreme Court has just done a shadow docket where it seems like they're just getting rid of it. We had this with abortion before they got rid of Roe, right? They did the thing with the bounty hunter thing in Texas, and they're well, I think this means Roe is dead, but they haven't done it. Which, I mean, it's not better that they did it, but it's still, this isn't the way the court used to operate, is it? This is crazy. Right.
And just to remind everybody, the shadow docket, as you said before, it's not the merits of the case. We're not actually arguing about whether or not we're going to win or lose the case. We're arguing about whether a thing should stay in place or not. And he's all these examples. That's what these are.
I want to cite that Supreme downsizing article one more time from 2007, from the same article. Quote, judicial modesty is a proclaimed ideal of Chief Justice John Roberts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, compared to a few of the other ones, maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So he's going to get into the why we're wrong on the next paragraph.
Oh, okay.
The Supreme Court then granted the stay, explaining that the case was, quote, squarely controlled by Trump v. Wilcox, and that the court's orders on the emergency docket should inform how a lower court, quote, should exercise its equitable discretion in like cases. Some commentators have complained that the court is not providing enough reasoning with its orders. But as this case illustrates, even when
Do we count as that? I don't think he knows about us, but I'm going to count us.
We are some commentators, indeed.
We are some commentators. I say that all the time.
But as this case illustrates, even when the lower courts have plenty of notice of the Supreme Court's view, some have simply chosen to ignore it.
Again,
it's been like
Adrian.
2 weeks since we did a fascism on the Shadow Docket, okay? You should get it. What more notice do you need? We did a silent fascism.
You get notice on other things. Yeah. Why do you need to have it on all the things?
The lower courts have chosen to believe that Humphrey's executor is still good law, which it is. That is still the actual controlling precedent about whether or not the president can fire members of an independent executive agency. That's literally, that was the whole thing.
Call me crazy, Matt. When it comes to something like a law being overturned or overruled by the court, that's sort of they need to do it. They need to pull the trigger on that. I'm not going to anticipate, well, it's practically guns. I don't need to follow this thing. Like, no, you got to wait until they're done.
Just because the government said in its briefing that we are openly arguing that Humphrey's executor should be overruled, and the Supreme Court is like, great, well, the thing that Trump just did is fine. So I guess that's plenty of notice. That's officially now plenty of notice.
That's insane. That is really
truly
dumb.
is.
Okay.
This is bad. And again, all shadow docket examples. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Wow.
So, too, in United States v. Schilling, the Supreme Court had to issue a stay against a district court order that blocked the Defense Department's policy disqualifying transgender individuals from military service. The district court's order hovered between outright defiance and bad faith evasion, because in 2019, during the first Trump administration, the Supreme Court had already cleared the way for a material, indistinguishable policy to go into effect.
No, it didn't. Again, we don't have time for all this, but he's just, again, totally ignorant or totally disingenuous. I'm going to go with disingenuous. Different policy, different circumstances. That policy that he's talking about was arrived after, again, I don't even know if I don't think we have time to get into exactly why this is all wrong, but completely different thing. And to just say that it was the same thing and the district court should have known because of what they did in 2019,
plus, what is even his fucking theory of the case? Like, it's a weird thing to be like, hey, the courts all over the country, they're in on it. It's a weird conspiracy to be like all these different lower courts are defying court orders. Like, just in terms of simplicity, parsimony of conspiracy theory. I can understand that Donald Trump, fascist, is defying court orders because he wants to defy court orders. He's one administration, and we hear all the time how he's everything. He's the executive branch. But it's a little weirder to be like, all these lower courts, just random pick them here and there, like they're all defying court order. It's like, that seems a little harder to, it's going to be harder for me to believe that they're all doing something wrong together across. Am I crazy? Does that make sense, Matt? Like, yeah.
You're also going to have to give me one example doing something wrong.
True. So. Good point. Yeah. Like, give me the first example. Yeah.
But no, of course. No, but he's just trying to make a thing. He's trying
I guess I'm just talking about like, as a non-lawyer, just thinking through like the prior probability of your argument. If your argument is all these different lower court judges happen to be doing this thing wrong. I mean, it's even one thing if you can be like, look, the Ninth Circuit is fucking around with liberal, like at least like, okay, like maybe a super liberal circuit, but isn't he bringing up all kinds of different examples from different places?
Let's actually, let's skip ahead because we can't do the whole thing here. We had to plan to mop off some of this. Let's skip ahead to this year. Because that answers that question.
This year. Here we go.
Yeah. Where's that? Where's this year? This year. I see.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like actually this year.
Yeah.
This year, it is no accident that the incidents of lower court defiance have taken place in a few areas of the country.
Scroll down.
Yes, sorry. The federal district courts in the District of Columbia, Massachusetts, Northern California, Maryland, and other blue areas. Under President Biden, Texas and other red states served the same purpose.
Weird how that works. That the places that were appointed, full of Trump appointees, and the places full of Obama and Biden appointees, opposed the different administrations. Yeah, let's keep going.
District court judges have almost no accountability. They are like feudal lords who lay down the law in their local courts. If they are reversed, at least they will have stymied for some time the implementation of presidential policies they find objectionable.
Objectionable. No, they are the accountability. That's the purpose.
Yeah.
They are the check.
As opposed to the Supreme Court that's got emperor kings that they can just decide everything for everybody. Like they're just they're judges at different levels of judge. Am I crazy? Like what? This is stupid.
And cases are distinguishable. There are lots of differences between the things you're talking about. Let's keep going.
All right.
There is a standing temptation for individual lower court judges to play to the galleries, even if doing so undermines the credibility of the judiciary as a whole. Any judge who breaks ground in limiting core presidential powers, as when Judge Charles Breyer in Northern California attempted to assert control over the president's deployment of the National Guard, a decision that was so... Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
God,
How would
so
his
freaking
Substack
annoying.
pronounce it?
Yeah. It'd be in some like Latin
It'd be Latin, yeah.
turn of phrase. That it was immediately stayed by the appellate court, becomes a hero among legal commentators and academics, depending on the ideological direction of the ruling.
Again, as some commentator, he was a hero to us in that episode. We did talk about Charles Breyer's decision. Charles Breyer correctly pointed out that this was done over the objection of the governor under a completely new justification that had never been used to call it the National Guard before.
Right.
And
Yeah,
yes, it was immediately
reasonable.
stayed. It's immediately stayed because that's always how it works when they're basically because what the Ninth Circuit had to say was this is the president using the military. We don't have a lot of we can't say necessarily that we can uphold this while it's on appeal. This decision, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt, the president the benefit of the doubt. But I do think that Charles Breyer is a hero for that decision. It's a very good decision, and it's correct. And I think it will be vindicated in the end, but we'll see.
But you never call it defying court orders or whatever. Like it doesn't. It's just part of the process, right? I mean,
he's saying that because it was immediately stayed, which again is routine in these kinds of appeals.
Yeah. Right.
But breaking ground and limiting core presidential powers.
Yeah, I love that.
That's
incredible.
trying to stop the fascists, like breaking ground.
As if that's what's happening now. Like there's new ground being broken in limiting the fucking power of the president right now. That's what the direction things are going. New ground in limiting it. Yeah, we're making new discoveries all day about how we can limit Trump's power. That's what's happening right fucking now.
Yeah, it's working.
Boy, he can't do anything. He's actually, he's a mime in a class spot. He can't even do nothing. He has no power anymore because we're so innovative. Stupid.
What is significant about these episodes is not merely that the lower court judges are showboating, but that they are doing so at the expense of the Supreme Court. Overall, the federal judiciary... Overall, the federal judiciary suffers from a kind of collective action problem. The whole institution bears the costs of disruption and diminished credibility from such lower court defiance, while individual judges reap ideological acclaim and self-indulgence.
I forgot who Charles Breyer was 5 seconds after we talked. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Does Charles Breyer have a talk show now? Does he have a book deal? Like, come the fuck on, dude.
It's ridiculous. And like the idea too that this is why the Supreme Court has no credibility right now.
Yeah.
Just because individual lower court judges are striking
the
back.
meme where he shot the guy.
Yeah. Right.
Why did you do this, Supreme Court?
Exactly. Yeah.
It'd be, why did you do this, lower courts or whatever?
Yeah. So we'll skip the next couple paragraphs. We don't have time to talk about it.
Oh boy, we're long. Yeah, shoot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's keep going.
The
final recourse. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to summarize this final part because it is too long.
Yes.
He talks about something called departmentalism, and he completely mischaracterizes something written by Jack Goldsmith, also at Harvard, completely misrepresents it. And also, I will read the sentence about Alexander Hamilton. If you scroll down to the Alexander Hamilton part. Hamilton, writing in the Federalist Papers, described that possibility as the possibility of departmentalism, we'll talk about in a minute, as one of the main checks in the judiciary created by the constitutional system of divided powers. Notice what he doesn't do here. He doesn't cite which Federalist paper. He does not provide a quote from Alexander
there's
Hamilton.
no quotes. Mm-hmm.
And Evan Bernick,
that's a genius move because I will never read those fucking things as long as I live.
Well,
I will never.
I did, Thomas.
It's in one of them. Okay.
He made me go to Federalist 78
you didn't,
and 79. I read them both.
I only
so
know
sorry, Matt.
whatever ends up getting quoted in Hamilton the musical. So.
I'm really interested in the concept of
know.
the Federalist Papers. I bet they're brilliant, but holy shit, trying to read those things is like...
They're very well written. And I will say, one of the things... One quote I picked up from Federalist 78 is that the complete independence of the Court of Justice is peculiarly essential in a limited constitution. He had a lot to say about the independence of judiciary, but my point is, he's, again, you're just going to have to trust me because we're running out of time, but he is completely misstating what Goldsmith said, and he's twisting it around to this idea of what he thinks he wants to say departmentalism is. The thing he's saying has never been done before. Andrew Jackson defied the court with the Indian removal cases because he wanted to. He didn't cite any particular theories.
He's racist,
I just don't want to do this, right? I don't want to, let him, there's the famous quote about let him.
I don't want to is a time-honored way to defy court orders.
Exactly. And it was his legal theory was I don't want to.
Yeah,
but it's this thing he's saying has never been done before, and it's extremely fringe, like a lot of the stuff that Vermeule actually believes in. Okay, and let's go back to but whatever its usual merits. We'll finish this off.
All right, but whatever its usual merits, the case for it here is different and unusually strong. When a lower court's order attempting to limit the executive is also an act of mutiny against the Supreme Court, the issue is not conflict between branches, but the legitimate hierarchy of authority within the judicial branch. By ignoring such an order, the president, far from defying the judiciary as such, would be supporting the authority of the Supreme Court, the only court created by the Constitution itself.
Holy crap.
Yep. This is fascist. This is just straight up fascist. Not only should we obey the imperial presidency, but the imperial court. And we should strive to make sure that we do not deviate from anything we think the court might have been imagining.
Just to make sure that's clear. So he's saying, by the way, when he started off and he said Trump wasn't defying orders. Yeah. He was like, he's not defying orders. By the end, we're at, well, he has to defy the orders because he knows that someday the Supreme Court of fascists will be okay with his fascism. So ahead of time, he's got to defy court orders because those ones aren't fascist enough. And he knows they're going to do fascism later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Am I wrong? That's what he's saying, right?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. And that's what he believes. I mean, he really is a fascist.
What an asshole.
He's an authoritarian. And don't get like the Substack, all of his academic writing, it's all smoke. This is what he believes. This last sentence.
Well, it's just weird because usually you save the crazy stuff for your Substack and put the more sane stuff on New York Times. But I guess if New York Times is shopping for fucking bullshit, I guess, shouldn't they run this by? I get that, an opinion. It's an opinion. It's just an opinion. It's like when we published the one where the Republican was like saying climate change doesn't exist or something, or there's been a couple crazy ones with Republicans in the last few years. It's just an opinion. Shouldn't you interview? I get it. It's one thing as a politician. When it's this is complicated. It takes listening to Opening Arguments podcast, hosted by Matt Cameron, which you should definitely listen to.
Yeah.
It takes that to understand this. So maybe they should have other experts they run this by first who can be like, oh no, this is stupid. This is horseshit. And then they can be like, oh, we shouldn't publish that then. I don't care how many the thirds Cornelius is. I don't care how many tombs his mom discovered.
Yeah.
We're not publishing this.
Cornelius' line is dead too, by the way, because he named his son Spencer, so it wasn't Cornelius. Okay. I do want to kind of address a little bit on the Substack piece because there is also some batshit stuff there too. Like I got sucked into this whole. It is freaking weird in there, and I want to call out something in particular. Well, two things in particular. The first one is a recent open letter that the Harvard Law faculty wrote to their students. And I'm just going to quote one little piece from it. They said, while reasonable people can disagree about the characterization of particular incidents, we are all acutely concerned that severe challenges to the rule of law are taking place, and we strongly condemn any effort to undermine the basic norms we have described. So this is about, Trump and kind of bribing or blackmailing, I guess, all of these law firms and kind of destroying everything when it comes to the law.
I just assumed they were writing about the lower courts, the real problem in our country.
No. Okay. Yes, exactly. The real problem. And it had people sign on that we've talked about on Where There's Woke, like some kind of anti-woke law professors, Jeannie Sue Gerson, her husband Jacob Gerson, Janet Halley. These are people who believe that Title IX went too far and, these ridiculous things. But ever the contrarian, Adrien Vermeule, Cornelius Adrian Comstock Vermeule III.
Cornelius Comstock Vermeule, get over here right now.
I'm a mom, so that matters.
I can't even remember. John Jacob Jingleheimer.
I'll never forget this name. Yeah.
What is it? Cornelius what? I already forget.
Cornelius Adrian Comstock Vermeule.
That is a great name.
It is
Cornelius. I can't do it. I can't. What's the number of lists you can remember? I think it's 3. That's 4. I can't do it.
No, it's 7 plus or minus 2.
Jesus, I'm way short then. I need to have my brain looked at. Cornelius blank. Oh, no. I already forget. Adrian?
Yes.
Adrian. I'll do a medic to be able to do this joke someday. I'll get it. No, go ahead.
Anyway, so he had to share his dissent on his Substack from this very reasonable open letter basically saying, we as law professors believe in the rule of law and we're concerned about some of the things we're seeing.
Yeah.
And so he wrote a very, very long piece. And honestly, I might link it in case people want to check it out. Or maybe I'll do a PDF so you're not giving clicks to his Substack. All that said, however, to limit myself to procedural objections would duck the real issue. The real issue is that the collective letter, although no doubt offered in good faith by its signatories, is shot through with selective ideological blindness. Mm-hmm. It is, I am sorry to say, a sectarian document cast as an appeal to high principle. Let us here ignore all other political controversies in recent years and confine ourselves to those directly involving lawyers, judges, and legal representation.
What?
Where were the letter signatories when federal prosecutors took the unprecedented step of bringing dozens of criminal charges against a former president who also happened to be the leading electoral opponent of the then incumbent president? Where were the signatories when Jeff Clark, Rudy Giuliani, John Eastman, and other lawyers were disbarred or threatened with disbarment? I'm going to keep going. And indeed prosecuted for the representation of President Trump. Was this not a threat to the rule of law? Where were the signatories when radical activists menaced Supreme Court justices in their homes, or when a mob hammered on the doors of the Supreme Court itself? Anyway, he goes on about that.
He sure does go on.
I love that's it's a very common mode of bullshit fascism. Oh, they didn't complain when this happened, unrelated thing that has nothing to do, and why
which
would
was
they complain?
Fine when it happened,
was fine
because it was crimes.
So
these hypocrites.
The Catholicism conversion, there was something going on there, like where these kind of like little piecemeal things and like this evolution of someone who
bonking. Is that Matt? Oh, sorry. Lots of noise.
This evolution of sort of someone who was like, he was writing pieces with people on the other side of the aisle for a while. Like they were talking about like I don't remember, like the economics of like various legal theories and stuff. It was like very like dry, run of the mill.
You wrote a book with Cass Sunstein, who they think is like
sorry, I thought is he a professor or something?
Yes,
I missed it.
At Harvard.
Oh, he's a professor. I thought he was an alum or something.
No.
Oh
he
my
is
God.
a
Well,
current.
let's fuck this guy.
So okay, and I'm going to get there. So then you have that conversion to Catholicism. Then you get this like really intense love and infatuation of Trump for some reason. And he became an election denier, of course. His blogging and tweeting and public statements that he was putting out were so bad that Harvard students, like a ton of different groups of law students at Harvard, all got together, issued an incredible statement. I'll link this in the show notes too. You should all check it out. And they basically were like, this guy is not okay. Like, and it's not even
that's
like
not a collection of wokists, the Harvard law student body, right?
No. And it was everybody
they're
was
the
coming
future
together.
of this fucking guy, really.
And notably, they weren't saying he should lose his job, he should lose his tenure, he should do, but they weren't even calling for that.
Yeah.
Basically, their demands were that the Harvard Law School release a statement condemning his spread of inaccurate conspiracy theories about the election, violent rhetoric, and intolerant statements. And then they decided Stanford did something similar. So this is, you're not going out on a limb being the first school to ever do this. Conduct an investigation into whether he was spreading misinformation or discriminatory content in his classes and or discriminating against students on the basis of characteristics protected by their policy against discrimination. And take appropriate action if so. Create at least 2 sections of administrative law per semester so that no student is forced to take a class with Professor Vermeule. Because he is the administrative law guy.
Rid of him. Like, come on.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think that's reasonable. And then commit that going forward, 1Ls will not be required to take a class with Professor Vermeule. So if he's your administrative law guy at Harvard and
give him his own little classroom that has nobody in it.
Yeah. And if weirdo students want to participate in this class, then fine. But it is very, very dangerous. I mean, this is not someone like this is not a lower tier law school or anything like that. This is freaking Harvard Law. Yeah. Harvard Law. These are future justices, future politicians, future
Dershowitzes.
Yeah, future Dershowitzes.
And future Ted Cruz.
So it's remarkable to me. I don't know how that worked out. I'm guessing not very well. But maybe they did offer another section of admin law. So
I hate him and he sucks.
Yeah.
Good for them.
All right, we're so far out of time. Yeah, go ahead.
We are. Yeah, we got to go into overtime.
Oh, we're going to go into overtime. What were we going to say? I didn't want to. Sorry.
I was going to say. I mean, just to wrap this is exactly why what you just said is why I wanted to pick Adrien Vermeule for this week as soon as I saw this piece, because people should know who he is. But also, I think there's this general thought from the New York Times, obviously, that they should feature the leading minds of the other side, right? And I think that I'm just a lawyer. I'm not. I mean, I do teach graduate students, but I'm not anybody really. And I just knocked this thing down. I think that it didn't take very long just going through this because I happen to have been following what the Supreme Court is doing very closely, for work. And it just.
What's your job?
Both of my jobs, actually, I get to file what the Supreme Court is doing. And it's not that hard to take the stuff up on and just say, you're an idiot. This is stupid. Or you're being an idiot on purpose. I'm not even saying he's an idiot. Because I think
you're an idiot.
Pretty smart.
You fucking suck.
So we're here
Cornelius, Adrian, Comstock, Vermeule.
I mean, I want to send this just in case they missed it. I want to send this op-ed to the dean of Harvard Law School and be like, you guys know what he's publishing in the NYTimes? Like, do you know how stupid this is?
Well, that's the thing. It's that student statement from a few years ago. They had an appendix where they had screenshots of his tweets, his blog posts, like all these things he was saying about transgender folks, about gay people. This is why I called out that his sister is a lesbian. I do not think they have a relationship anymore. If they do, I'd be very, very surprised because
he doesn't want her to be married.
Horrific things.
So, no, obviously. And that's the good faith stuff he believes. That's the stuff he sincerely believes, right? Yeah. This is bad faith. Like this is, and I'm again, the good
he believes this. It's like
the good faith stuff is bad enough. Yeah. Like I'm sure he sincerely believes that his sister shouldn't be married. I don't. I mean, he sucks for it, but I'm sure he believes that. But this, he knows better.
Yeah. Like this is so bad. Dissent too, right? Like you see kind of like the beginnings of like, okay, well, like that's something we can debate perhaps, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, the fascist mind enjoys gaslighting us. They enjoy doing this. They enjoy saying things that aren't true because they can. They can make these arguments. And I'll be honest, Matt, close your ears. A lot of lawyers are like this with everything. Like it's if they can make an argument plausibly, they're like, that's the same as having a good argument.
Yeah. We all do it sometimes.
There's some, sometimes you have, and sometimes you're doing it in service of a client who needs help, whatever. Yeah. But like, it's a very fascist thing to be like, oh, well, if you look at it this way, and then really they don't actually believe it. I think that's such a huge thing. That's one thing that, many things that make me feel like a space alien in today's world. And I think the three of us are very similar on this. I just like say what I believe. Because I think you should just say the things you can believe. And if they're bad, then other people can be like, that sucks. And then you can either stick to it and be like, yeah, I have an opinion. Look, I hated the comic book movies for a while. That's what I thought. I started they grew on me a little. But, now they think there's way too much. Everyone hated me for that.
Yeah, they did.
Justifiably. And it's like, all right, fine. That's the end of transaction.
Yeah.
I don't need to flip out and be like, it's whatever.
They ruined Hollywood. That's legit. That's a legitimate opinion.
They believe. Yeah, it's like, say what you believe. There's no point in saying things you don't believe. That's just fascism. Like for the sake of advancing fascism or for the sake of gaslighting all of us. It's despicable.
To sneak into the fascism. If you're going to go into fascism, just like do it full-throated, right? Like because
I have to say this. His Substack response to the immunity decision last year is incomprehensible. He doesn't say whether it's good or bad. He clearly thinks it's fine, and that's kind of his conclusion. But he's being so weaselly about it and being like so high-minded. He's talking about the whole time he's talking about Thomas Hobbes and the Leviathan. And I have no idea. I mean, he's obviously saying he thinks Leviathans are great, but and they should be running the country. But
should the president be immune or not? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? With this Leviathan?
Is this good or bad?
Yeah,
Adrian. Like, and that's the difference, I think, with the kind of moral clarity that the left has had for quite a while. Yeah, it should have at its best when we put our best people out there. The people that can just say, "This sucks. This is bad. Don't do it."
Mm-hmm. You know what's great about an unedited format like this? I don't have to sit here and be like counting the minutes of because roughly every minute we record is like 4x the work to edit it. So when we go long, I'm like, fucking hurry. Another 5 minutes. That's another 20 minutes of work that I have to do in 14 minutes. That's awesome. Like now I'm just like, we went long. Cool.
This is just more time to listen to.
Let's keep chatting.
Yeah, I'm worried about Matt. Like I'm sure Matt has like important lawyer things to do.
I got band practice pretty soon here, but I'm happy to keep talking.
Every lawyer has important band practice. Matt is an incredible musician. We haven't gotten to feature that like we should have in the show. But Matt, do you have time before tell your bandmates? Do we have time for the little bonus extra we want to do for the patrons
sure
only?
Let's do it.
All right.
Well, we should give a teaser. Can we? Hun, can you pull something up and I can show everyone what we're going to be looking at? This is a follow up.
Do you want like a teaser pull up or the actual video?
No, just pull it up and we'll just show a little bit of it because this is a follow up from last Wednesday. Excellent.
Completely different Harvard Law professor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's the one we covered last week. But this is no, it's not there yet. Okay. Oh, here we go. No, we can't open my. Yeah. All right. We'll have to find a better way to do that. But anyway, this is the subject of last week's Vapid Response. What's the heading of that? It's the other quote I did, the other one I did. It's Alan Dershowitz being told by Martha's Vineyard police to stop harassing vendors or be charged with trespassing after 3 different sellers refused him service.
Yeah.
No pierogies for you.
No, and that's the thing. Yeah, it's over pierogies, folks.
And this is very sovereign citizen-esque. Like we're bookending because he knows the law, but like he turns into a sovereign citizen, talking about like how dare you, sir?
And
you have
shorts
to. The
and
Constitution
socks
demands that you sell me a pierogi or whatever.
God.
For once, for the first time ever, I think I haven't seen the thing we're about to watch. So even better.
Man.
This will be
My
fun.
first
Well,
response.
we're going to do this for patrons only on patreon.com/law. But thank you everyone on YouTube and listening. We love you so much. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really liking this format. We'll keep getting better at it. Each time we're iterating, and eventually we'll get Matt looking just slowly more and more at the camera. Like we'll just a little bit. We'll measure the angle, and then
Let's take our time here. Let's not rush.
All right. Well, for Matt, our real lawyer, and Lydia, our real amazing producer, I'm Thomas, and this was Vapid Response number 2 in the books.
Yeah.
Good job, everyone. We'll see you
Cornelius
next week.
the Second.
What?
I don't know.
See you next time.
I can't.
Oh, no, I broke you.